Hello, 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 stamping friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on into the craft room and join me here. I am Caron Bailey. I am your ATX Stampin' Lady. And you guys, I have missed you guys so much. I went through a little bit of a slump there. I just wasn't feeling it. And I just didn't, I lost my mojo for a little bit. But now I'm coming back to you. And here's one of our efforts that we're working with you today. Um, if you are familiar with Stampin' Up, you'll know that we're on the cusp of launching some new products. As a demonstrator, I was able to order ahead of time. And here's one of our, today we're going to be working with Lovely Florals, which is one of the new online stamp sets that's online exclusives, I believe, for the newest release. So welcome. I'm going to be creating these cards. It's going to be I'm going to be creating these cards for a card swap, demonstrator card swap that I'm in. So, and there's about 7 of us in the in the swap. So I'm only going to create one card with you here, not all 8 of them, right? So I had this idea while I was at my sister's, and I didn't have any of the supplies so I can do a complete mock-up, but I did have some. And so I sketched it out, and so I'm hoping that what I have in my head comes to fruition, and we are going to make it work, okay? So what I have for you today is a card that is going to incorporate some masking, some ink blending, some fussy cutting, some coloring. What else are we going to do? Some layering. Hey guys, we're just going to have a lot of fun. Let me share with you the products that we're going to use today to create these cards. So I'm making, the star of the show today will be 2 products, Lovely Florals. Oops, let me get rid of that glare. Again, this will not be available today. You won't see this yet. I believe this is from our online exclusives, so you won't see that. So more than likely I'll be using this image, not more than likely, I'll definitely be using the floral image. Gonna be using this image to create a little bit of texture in my card. Not sure exactly what sentiment I'm going to use. We'll see at the end, and maybe we'll give you an opportunity. The other star of the show is our Everyday Arches set. Now, we're actually going to be playing more so with the dies than we are with the sentiments or the stamps that's in here. We might, but we'll wait and see what's going on with that. The Everyday Arches is also, it's a online exclusive from last year, 2024. It may still be available in Last Chance. You might want to check that out. But again, my main goal is using the dies from this set. Now, let me tell you which dies we're going to be using. So I used, oops, obviously you can see which dies I used. So I used and I'm going to count from the outside. 1, 2, 3. So I used die number 3 and die number 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 3 and 4 I tape together to create a frame. And the frame that I'm going to use, obviously, is with some gold foil. And I've already die cut that, so you don't have to watch me do that. And then I use arch number 3 just to create a stencil or a mask for my 3 3/4 by 5 cardstock. Okay, so this is what I do when I know I'm planning on doing a little bit of ink blending. I create my template, and because I know my card base size is going, or my focal image size is going to be 3 3/4 by 5. And so what I did was I die cut the number 4 frame out of a 3 3/4 by 5 stencil. So I know when I layer that template right over, I'll ink blend exactly where I need to be ink blending. So that's our mask or a stencil that we created. Some people call them masks, some people call them stencils. They are the same things, okay? So we're going to let me put this away because we're not going to use this anymore unless I decide to use a sentiment out of that. So I'm going to be using I'm going to be coloring some the floral image, and the colors that I'm going to work with, I think, are um, the Shy Shamrock, which is our 24 to 26 in colors. We're going to be using our Bubble Bath. Bubble Bath is from our Subtles collection. And I'm going to be using the light Strawberry Slush, which is from our current in colors. So those are the colors I'm going to be using to color the florals. I'm also going to be using, to create my mask for my coloring there, I think I'm going to use, and I pulled all of these, so I'm hoping they're all going to work, Lemon Lolly. Lemon Lolly is from our Subtles collection. Peach Pie, this is from our 2024 to 2026 in colors. Shy Shamrock again, so you saw the tie-in that I'm going to do with that. And I'm hoping to use some Lost Lagoon. And Lost Lagoon is also from the Subtles collection. Now this right here, guys, I created, it was getting difficult to find the Tuxedo Memento black ink pad. So I took one of the Stampin' Up white ink pad, and with the Tuxedo Memento black ink color, I went ahead and inked that up. And so now I have a Tuxedo ink refill. And now I have the Tuxedo Memento black ink pad that I can use for that as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We're also going to need some blending brushes. And if I'm using 4 different colors, I'm going to need 4 different blending brushes. I forgot to reach for those. Hold on. All right. I'm going to have to try to clean these off because I don't know what color's on them. So how I'm going to quickly clean these off is I'm going to reach for my little alcohol spray bottle here. And the green one, I'm just going to spritz with alcohol, rub it on here like that. And the thing about alcohol will dry really quickly, so I don't have to worry about extra drying time for this. By the time I'm going to use this, it'll already be dried and ready to use again. Okay, let's do this one more time. I already did it with the others, so they are primarily just, they look the color, but they don't have any color for transfer. The other thing that I'm going to use that's not Stampin' Up is a grip mat, okay? All right, so let's keep these on the side. And what a grip mat is a piece of photopolymer, just a slab of photopolymer, y'all. And I'm going to put that on my glass mat, and with the stickiness and the grip of the photopolymer of the grip mat, our cardstock shouldn't shift as much. Okay. Now I think this particular piece I got, if you live near a Michaels has a grip mat. Yes. And so that's where I got that one from. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and align this. And again, it doesn't really matter where I put it because, oops, the only thing is to make sure that my stencil stays in place. So I took a piece of, what is it called? The Post-it tape, and I went from the back to the front to make sure that that sticks together, reduces the shifting. The cardstock itself won't shift, but the stencil might. So I'm going to make sure that I hold on to that for a little bit. So when I stencil or when I ink blend, I tend to start with my lightest color first. Not everybody does that, but that's what I tend to do. And so I'm just going to ink this up with some color. Make sure I get that on there. Gonna dab some off because I do want to start light. And then I'm just gonna start ink blending. Now, my vision for this is I kind of want to have like a little bit of a sunlight, skyline or scene that I'm building, but I want it to look like the arch. So everything is going to be light, and I want the yellow as my base color to be pretty much all over. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to have like sunlight um, coming through. Just building a scene is what I'm doing. Just let it blend. I'm going to leave this corner just a little bit more white space than not. Okay. Then I'm going to work in my next color, which is going to be my peach pie. Clean this yellow up. Didn't put that all the way. Here we go. Let's use this one for our peach. And this is our peach pie. So dab some of it off. And again, just lightly layer that color. Now I want this orangey color to be more from the right side of my frame. Right side. And as I ink blend, I still want to make sure that I'm able to see the yellow, okay? So I'm just cognizant of how far that is so that I can see all of the colors in transition, okay? All right. I'm going to next go in with my Shy Shamrock. Now, the thing you want to be careful of with any of these colors is making sure that the colors that you choose, when you blend them, they don't create a muddy mess, okay? I didn't think about that when I picked these, but hey, let's hope that they don't create a muddy mess. So this is our Shy Shamrock. And this is green. And again, we see we have a little bit of a darker hue. A little bit darker than I wanted, but it'll work anyway. Okay. Just so I could have all of the colors in the... We're not going to use our Lost Lagoon because then that'll probably bring it too dark from where I want it to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back in with our peach pie. I'm going to play with that a little bit more so we can see that. And I'm going to start from down here. And bring that out just a little bit more. And lastly, I'm going to go right back in with my lemon lolly. I'm going to clean my brushes after. And I'm going to be a little bit heavier on the lemon lolly. Oh, guys, I forgot. If you are hearing any music, I don't know if you are. I didn't. The music that may be playing in the background that you may be hearing, it is not my music. Um, I want to make sure that I give credit, but I am listening to um, Pandora, so I really don't know who's playing or who's on. But I just wanted to make sure that I did give acknowledge for copyright reasons that this music is not mine. And I may have to do a voiceover if YouTube uh, strips the sound away for that purpose. All right, so we're done with our ink blending. And when we're done, this is what we have, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is and don't throw your templates away, you guys. You can always reuse your templates. Okay. All right. Perfect. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of stamping. But before I do that, let me put some of the ink supplies away because we're not going to use them for a little bit. All right. So I'm going to go in with my black, and I'm going to stamp my stencil, my trellis. I'm going to call this a trellis, all right? Grabbing my Memento black. I'm going to stamp it right in here, just like so. And I'm okay if it goes outside of the ink blended arch. Okay. There we go. All right, so the next thing we have to do now is we've got to build, this was in my head, right? And I'm going to go ahead and this guy, the gold foil arch, and we're just going to go ahead and adhere this right over, just like that. And again, I am leaving this on my grip mat because I don't want it to shift. I don't want it to move. I don't want any of that. So I am going to leave it right there while I create. And I'm going to grab me some reversible tweezers. Also might come in handy. And my liquid glue. My initial vision when I did this was 2 flowers. Oops. And I've already stamped and heat embossed my floral images. Yes, I heat embossed because I used um, oops, let's go ahead and put this down. I used VersaFine Clear when I'm definitely doing a little bit more detail work. It's actually my preferred um, it's my preferred ink when I'm doing most stamping is to use the VersaFine Clear. Okay. So can you see that? Let that dry for a quick second. Now I've already stamped several of these, and I'm going to set this aside for a second and go ahead and get to coloring while that glue is setting. Okay. Perfect. You can also utilize it just as a thing, right? Just like that, just put it on there, right? I tend not to color on a grip mat only because for me it's easier to turn the image than to have to try to take this up. So let's start with our leaves, and I'm gonna start with my light. Make sure this is the light shy shamrock for my leaves, and I'm gonna color, but not, I'm gonna leave a little bit of white space. See, right now I would have been, I don't have the die set for this, so we're going to have to fussy cut this. Now the reason I'm leaving white space is I'm going to use a coloring technique where, because of how the ink dries, um, it's going to dry lighter. So if we gave it enough time in between each coat of coloring, after I apply my dark, I'll go over it again with the light, and this time I'll go towards all the way out to the end, and you should see different gradations of the color. But we're not going to give it as much time to dry as we probably should. Now, for me, when I add my highlights, especially on things like leaves, I definitely follow the artist's drawings. I'll come up a little bit depending on where I'm saying the shadows are coming from. Here we go. And how big the image is how far I'll move the image out. Okay, I'll let that dry for just a quick second. Let me move on to our pinks, and we're going to start with our bubble bath, our light bubble bath. Let that dry in for a second. Again, I'm not going to color all the way out to the tips of the flowers. And again, this is just because I want to add a little bit of depth, texture. Okay. Then I'm going to go in with the light strawberry slush. And I'm going to use this color primarily kind of like like I said, a highlight, following the artist's guidelines. Sometimes I can't color and talk at the same time, so if I lose you, that's precisely why. I kind of have to concentrate just a little bit. Now this image isn't huge at all, so I'm not trying to have too much blending to do. Okay. And then now I'm going to go in with the dark bubble bath. I'm going to let that sit, and then I'm going to go in with the light, I'm going to go back in with the light Shy Shamrock and blend that out. I just wanted to give it a little bit of time to dry. so now we're going to go in with our dark bubble bath. And we're going to pull some of that light strawberry slush out. Not too far, because we still have to go over it all with our light bubble bath again. Soften that strawberry slush out just a bit. And then we're going to go over it all with the light bubble bath. And pull that all the way out. So we will have layered our colors. Okay. And our coloring is done. Now, in my vision, I had two, two flowers. I'm not sure if I'm going to use two or if I'm going to use one. So let's play with one for now. Oops. Make sure we put our protective covering back on. And make sure you protect this just as if you would protect your photopolymer stamps, right? Okay, so we have that. And now I don't have dies for this, so I'm going to try to fussy cut this as quickly as I can. Oh, I didn't do the stem. That's okay, we'll get that done. Now that I've shared this tip with you before about fussy cutting. If you're a right-hander, I know not everybody is a right-handed person, but if you are right-handed, it doesn't really matter what hand it is. Whatever is your dominant hand, my dominant hand is my right hand, which is where I have my snips right now. And so I actually am just turning my cardstock with my non-dominant hand. I'm not moving the snips, except to close the blade as I move around the image. Everything else is done by my left hand. The beauty of doing it that way is you, you tend to maintain a little bit more of a consistent edging around your image with your cutting. It might get away from you a little bit in certain spots, but generally I find for me, when I am religious about practicing that tip and technique and I don't get lazy and sloppy, I tend to stay, uh, my little borders and my edges around my images are pretty consistent. Now with this particular image, I'm going to do a little bit of fancy snipping, meaning I'm going to cut around the main image and then I'm going to go back and do some of the detail work. hmm The other tip that I find when I'm fussy cutting is I try not to, and this is a little bit more challenging for me. I find that I tend to slant my snips like this, but try as much as possible to keep your snips straight, alignment straight instead of slanted. And I will notice myself doing it, and I try to self-correct when I notice that I'm doing it. All right, and now I'm going to go right back quickly to do the detail work. Sometimes having that extra cardstock on it when you're trying to do the detail work kind of gets in the way. And so it's just easier to cut around it, go back, and come right back um, when you've cut it away. See, just like that, cut that detail work. Then I'm going to go back in here and do the detail work. And then this guy will be finished as far as fussy cutting. Now I'm going to add Wink of Stella to this, you guys. I try not to do that level of detail if I'm going to do Wink of Stella and all that kind of things on there. I tend to wait until I've adhered it, affixed it to the project. That way I don't have a lot of transferring of the glittery, shimmery elements to my fingers, which means I won't transfer it where I don't want it and get it all over the place. So that's another tip for you. If you are going to add Wink of Stella or some type of shimmer, either do it before, like if I was going to do this ahead of time, I would have added it before to the cardstock. Or maybe just cut it out of shimmery cardstock. Alrighty, we're almost done with this. Alright. So while I'm here, guys, let me do a big shout out and thank you. I had the sending cheers to our veterans fundraisers, where my goal was to create 100 cards to send to the veterans. We created at the event 65 cards. I was able to do another 16 yesterday. So this is not straight. I just noticed this isn't straight. Okay. Another 16 cards yesterday. And so we're going to have to do, I still have a little bit more to finish before I can pack them all up and send them out. So what my initial plan was to have our floral images going up the trellis. And I think I need definitely more than one. And through the magic of television, which means I did this already to see if my coloring would work, I already have two that's done. And I think that's how I'm gonna put them on here, because I want them to seem as if they're traveling up the trellis. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right there. Something like that. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm thinking. And before I do that, all right, one of them is going to go straight down. No dimensionals. So let's grab one of them. Add our liquid adhesive. And again, I am a liquid glue person, and I do liquid glue because it definitely gives me times to shake, shimmy it into the position that I want it to be in. There we go. And I'm going to lay this guy right about here. Now, again, this piece of basic white is 3 3/4 by 5. I am going to layer it on a piece of, I think I'm going to go with Lost Lagoon. And that's going to be 1/8 of an inch bigger, so it will be 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. is what I'm going to mat it on. I'm going to put this right on there. Now I'm going to add my Wink of Stella. Like that. Okay. And I just put Wink of Stella all over it, okay? Then I'm going to cut some. Let me see if I find my mini Stampin' Dimensionals, because I'm going to need the mini. Yep, here are some of the minis. I'm going to use the minis. So here's a question for you guys. When you're preparing cards for swaps or things of that nature, do you add a sentiment on it? Sometimes I struggle with whether I should add a sentiment on it or just leave it for the person whose card it is to make that decision, right? As to whether they want to use it for a birthday card, whether they want to use it for, whatever they want to use it for. But then are you sending a complete card if you send it without a sentiment? So that's my question for you when you watch this is, do you add a sentiment to your card when you're sending it as part of a swap? Oh, what is going on here? Why is this not coming out? Okay, here we go. Get a little bit of dimension on all of this. I needed a little bit of soothing music today. Normally when I'm crafting in my craft room by myself, I have a podcast going, or I'm watching Dateline NBC or 2020, or listening to an audiobook. That's what I do when I'm crafting by myself. Or just listen to music. Now, before I add this one, I want to zhuzh this up just a little bit. And you guys, I'm going to do a little bit of splatter. I've been splattering a lot lately. I have. I find that it adds such a bit of texture, a bit of dimension, just a little bit of something to my project. So I've been trying to add a little bit of splatter to my projects lately. Excuse me. So this is just a pan of color that I got. This one I think I got from Michael's, or I can't remember where it is, where I got it from. And all I'm going to do, how I try to add color or splatter, because I'm not good at it and I'm just learning. I want there to be, I'm going to go with, let's go with this one. So I'm going to grab my water. That's alcohol. So here's my water. And I'm just going to spray it in the bin, in the tin, till it creates that color. I'm going to spush, I'm going to do the same on my brush because the brush is kind of dry. And then swoosh this around. To create my source, and then I'm just gonna flick, 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 flick everywhere. And just like that, I've added some, if I need to add more water to my brush, I will. add more splatter. And that's it, guys. Oops. Well, there you go. Now I can move on with the rest of the project. All right. Wipe this off, clean this off. So do you see what I mean when I said adding the splatter just adds a little bit of texture on there? And this is like a metallic color, so it added like a little bit more shine and shimmer to this. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to add here's my piece of Lost Lagoon. And again, the Lost Lagoon is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And we're just going to pop that on there like that. A nice little border. Um, a nice little border. Trying to decide if I want to add, nope, just going to put it on there. And then I'm going to add this to a card base that is an A2 size card base, which is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. All right, here we go. And again, for me, liquid glue is queen. Gives me a chance to shake, shimmy, and move it into place. There we go. And then I'm just going to take my bone folder, if I can find one. I don't know. I have so many bone folders, y'all, and I can never put my hands on one when I need one. And I'm just going to burnish everything so that it adheres properly. Okay? Okay. Lastly, let's go ahead and grab our card base. 8.5 by 5.5, scored by 4 1/4. And we're just going to pop this right up with some foam. Okay. And I'm going to use some of my foam sheets, if I can find them. And I'm just going to trim this down. Make sure it fits. Now don't throw these away. I love the sheets because I can trim them to what I need. I don't have to be neat, although I would probably prefer it if I was neat about it, but I don't have to be neat about it, right? Add our sheet to the back. Make sure we have this opening the right direction. And then we're just going to layer this on here, okay? So if we have this way, there we go. Looks perfect to me from here. Boom. So this is just one, and I'm going to go ahead now remove the backing on this second flower. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment. Okay. And I want to make sure, because I don't want this off. There we go. Right? There we go. So for my next one, I'm going to move the bottom one just up a little bit more. Don't forget to add our Wink of Stella on this top flower now. And now I got to figure out what sentiment I'm going to use. So I'm going to, I think I'm just going to do Lovely Day. So Lovely Day is the sentiment that I'm going to work with, guys. I like it. All right, so let's grab the sentiment. I'm going to grab some black cardstock. Condition this stamp because I haven't used it. And I'm going to use some anti-static powder. Make sure I don't have any, remove as much of the oils as I can. And I'm going to ink the sentiment up with VersaFine ink. Making sure I got quite good coverage on here. Because I'm not using a stamp positioning tool for this and I can't see, I'm going to just ensure that I ink it up very, very well. And then I'm going to stamp it. Okay. I think I got it. Grab me some white embossing powder. And before I heat set this, I'm going to go in with a brush and remove as much of the powder from around as I can. Perfect. Now you could have done gold, rose gold, but I just wanted to do the white embossed powder. All right, so let's go ahead and heat set this, and then we're almost done with our cards. I am not a messy stamper, so I do apologize, you guys, for it being all over the place on this project today. And I hope you were able to see everything that I'm doing. I'm just now melting that white embossing powder. All right. Let it set for just a quick second while I clean up the rest of the mess. And it's not really a mess, you guys, but it is there. And then I'm going to share with you. I got to fussy cut this part, so I'm going to let that cool for a moment. And then let's just get this fussy cut it out. Again, I'm just doing a rough cut. Again, just using the non-dominant hand to turn the cardstock. Now I'm going to cut all of that out. Making sure I have a pretty decent border around the whole thing. hmm I believe there is a a die for this. You guys, I just, for whatever reason, I put the wrong order. I think there is, but I'll verify. I put the wrong item number in my cart, and I just got the stamp set. But generally, with Stampin' Up, if there is a die, I will get the die as well. Generally, because I'm that kind of girl. Alrighty. So there we go. And now I'm just going to put our sentiment right here. And I think this where it fits perfectly. Oops. Let me just grab all of that out of the way. And now, and I have so much sparkle going on here, I don't feel that I need um, to add bling. And I don't need that only because um, I've already, do I want to pop this up? Yes, I'm going to. I'm going to. These are just some design considerations that I think about. And I am making, there's 7 of us in the swap, so I got to make a couple of these So the question that I really should be asking myself is, do I want to create this 8 times? This many times. And sometimes I don't. I'm literally one of those people that I do not like to create the same cards over and over again. Generally, which is why I will make one of each card. Maybe the most I like to make of any one similar design is 10. I won't do more than that. Other than that, I don't want to say I'm bored with it, but that kind of is what it is, and it's no longer unique if I'm doing it 10 times in my mind. So that's my thought process. Now this is still the same piece of um, sheet that I just cut to make the base. I try not to have any waste whatsoever, which is what I'm doing now. I'm going to put this guy right here, like that. And guys, we are almost done with this project. Oops. All right, guys, so I am going to be doing on Friday, this Friday, a craft along. If you're not familiar with my Facebook group in the craft room, pop on over to in the craft room. I will have the list of supplies that you need if you're going to craft along with me um, on Friday. Okay, and I'll put the link to that event um, in this in the description box here once I've created it. I think that's perfect. There we go. All right. What do you think? This is our beautiful card created. This is for a demonstrator swap using new products from either our catalog that's coming out September to December, or from mini catalog, or from our new online exclusives. So here we go. This is what we created for you guys today. Again, we used the lovely florals from the upcoming release, and then we also used the Everyday Arches dies, and that was from a 2024 online exclusive release. It may still be available as an online exclusive, or it may be in the last chance products. I will again put that in the description box, the link to it, if it is still available. You guys, thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you enjoyed this card. I enjoyed creating it, and I've got to create it 7 more times. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment for me. Let me know. And if you do create it, I'm going to put this in my on my Facebook page as well after the swap has closed and been received. So we'll see it again there. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me today. Again, this is Caron Bailey, the ATX Stampin' Lady. Thanks for joining me on this beautiful day, and have a happy stamping day. Godspeed, and have a good night.